Hi everyone, in this video, we are going to be talking about a very interesting topic that's called the Anima and the Animus. This is a philosophy of Carl Jung, which talks about the psychic inner masculine inside a woman and the psychic inner feminine inside a man. And for today's discussion, I am inviting a very dear friend and therapist, Namita Shetty. Okay, so Namita, she's here. Okay, Namita, can you begin your video?
Hello.
Hi. So Namita and I have been having these amazing, deep discussions about Carl Jung, the psychotherapist, psychoanalyst, his theories of the collective unconscious, right? So, Namita, you've done extensive work with a lot of clients as a therapist, and you've done inner child healing and stuff. So, how did you get attracted to Carl Jung and this whole theory of the inner masculine and the inner feminine and all of that?
So Carl Jung, maybe I didn't start with the Anima and Animus, actually started with the shadow concept, because that's a very popular known concept about him. And then the yin yang balance, which comes from the metaphysical world. So they were completely two different concepts from different worlds. So I started with the shadow work and then the archetypes. And then I heard the Anima and the Animus. And when I started reading the description, I said, oh, that's quite much familiar to the words or the vocabulary that we talk about, the yin and the yang. That got me really more interested to read more about it, because one is about the energy of the yin and yang that we hear a lot about it, and yet there was so much information that I read about Anima and Animus that makes actual practical sense in living reality. Being a woman myself, so apart from being a therapist, recognizing that I'm also a person who has my own animus. And before I even can understand and be qualified enough to look into somebody else's, I need to understand what is exactly the texture of animus. The definition is there, but what it exactly means to be in touch with your animus and observe it was a practice that I started 3 years back in my life. And since then, as I started observing it within me, I'm also being able to observe it in my clients when I'm working with them. The therapy setup, the spaces where they come up with various kind of energies, recognizing, especially if it's a female, it's where we're dealing with the unconscious masculine, who could turn into a tyrant, where there was a possibility of it becoming an assertive protector.
So your whole journey started with the exploration of the shadow, as what Carl Jung calls it.
Yes, I'm very fond of the shadow work.
And then
Carl Jung.
you shifted towards exploring the anima and the animus. And you said that in exploring the inner masculine within a female client, you had some insights, and you mentioned that sometimes the inner masculine in a woman can is it so, as Carl Jung would say it, it's a projected reality, right? So whatever is the inner animus, according to Carl Jung, she projects it on the men around, or the collective society. Is it like the societal image of masculine showing up?
So rarely we all of us live in the reality of the other person. I'm seeing you in the projection of how I see you. So I don't still see you. I see Sanjeev with a part that's shown to me. You see a projection of me. You're not seeing the whole me. None of us actually ever see a real person. We all are seeing a projection at every given point, because we only see a part of that individual. Now, Anima and Animus is an unconscious aspect of ourselves. Unconscious, it's invisible. It only reflects through our behavior. It's like a blind spot that I can't see, but somebody else sees in me and say, you know what? Why is she so rough? Why does she hate men? or every opportunity to put down a man, and she's there. She wants to always be the top of the game. She can slap. Now, it may not be also personal against men, but at an observation level from an outside world, I'm always seeing that the animus has possessed the person. And literally, Carl Jung uses the word possession because it's almost like you are not who you are. I become the animus. It's my unconscious. And if I recognize that my animus is a tyrant, there is hope for me to do better healing than to keep healing the man outside me. And why do I attract these shit? Why do I attract unavailable men? Why do they get intimidated with me? All these questions you must have, even as a therapist, recognized in your therapy setup, that we always have this question, wow, what have I done wrong? Why do I have these questions where despite me having an inner picture of me being very gentle and kind, I come across as a very intimidating person. People are scared of me, that I'll put them down easily, like I will be ruthless. There's a certain image or energy around me. Now this is because there's an unconscious self of me that's unaddressed as a woman. As much as that is an animal, that which is called as the Anima is for another day to discuss. So here it's invisible to me. So I don't know why I'm intimidated. A lot of women, can feel intimidated me, and then we have another set of DBs that they're scared of us, and so fair. You can always give those reasons that they are scared of us, or we are too much, and that's why they can't handle it. That's one way you can handle it. But if I look at from Carl Jung's perspective, and I look from spiritual therapy or even psychotherapy, a combination of it, you go within. I intimidate people when I, as a person, don't even feel that I'm doing that. So there's a discrepancy with what I am feeling and what I'm putting up. So if I want to intimidate you, it's still in alignment with what I want to do. There is nothing possessing me. I surely know what I'm doing here and what I'm putting. A lot of times, I don't even know that I'm actually intimidating you, because in my heart space, I just gently come or present myself. And it's happened to me also a few years back, I think, when I was 26. I came across as a very intimidating person, though I was very docile from outside. And I thought I was a very docile and very meek, scared person. And yet I would have people saying, you're intimidating. I'm like, firstly, I had to find out the meaning of it. And I said, what am I even intimidating about? Because neither I'm saying something nor I'm acting, but the whole presence was intimidating. That talks about my unconscious, personal unconscious.
Okay, so it's like your unconscious relationship with your inner masculine can be sensed by other people. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, it's an energy. So let's put physics and metaphysics, the psychology of it and metaphysics. It's an energy. Now, obviously, I am not behaving that way, and yet people can sense it around me. So I'm now also conflicted as a person. And I'm trying to correct my behavior, but not recognizing what is this invisible thing that is just presenting itself before I even arrive.
Okay, and then what happened? What happened after that?
So when I started reading Anima, I was like, damn fuck, this is too much. I am trying to be polite, and from polite I became submissive also, and yet it's not helping me. So I realized, and that made me more angry. I'm like, I'm now feeling more helpless. So when I started reading a lot about Animus, he talked about our invisible, unconscious masculine. Shadow work is also the same thing. Now, my unconscious masculine is angry, bitter. Now, why is it angry and bitter? Is where I look the influences my inner animus has got. Where is this? And yet, at the exterior, I'm completely the docile person. So as Carl Jung says, the more you suppress the shadow, the more it expresses. So by being docile, I was suppressing my shadow, my assertiveness. And the more I was suppressing it, the more it was becoming like a tyrant. Right? When I started working on it, it was very difficult because for me to come to believe that I could be so aggressive was when I started recognizing the influence on my animus, start separating, that is when the early childhood comes. It's invisible, it's unconscious.
So, if I can ask, where did this tyrant come from? Like, I'm sure it was not there when you were born. So, did you like internalize it from some authority figure in life?
See, I had my father who came from that era of men who believed in power as masculinity. I'm not saying it's right and wrong or whatever it is. As a child, the influence of the masculine was a tyrant masculine, entitled masculine. So I absorbed it, and yet I did not want it. See, I had no choice to not take it. Recognize it that the first 8 years we don't have a choice to not take it. So we are like beggars who get what is left in our hand and like take it. It is rest our life. We keep doing therapy to just give away what we didn't want. All of us had to take what was given. I got it, but now I didn't want it. It was too young to make any deep sense of it that I make today. So I completely refused it and rejected it.
So can we say that like the first aspect of the raw masculine within for you was a reflection of your own father?
It's for everybody. Even if you ask yourself, ask anybody, the first raw picture of a masculine is a father figure. It's a male, the first primary male that you deal with. For the men, it's the mother, feminine. So whether you like it or not like it, it rubs on you.
Okay, and then to begin with,
and let's say it's not a father, then it could be a very close uncle in the absence of another father. There will be a primary male character that is influencing you. And in cases of women who are brought up by women alone, there are no father figures also, the absence of a man doesn't mean there's no inner animus. There was a father figure. Now you're taking the mother's inner animus. There has to be that inner and outer because it's the yin and the balance has to be there. Wherever we borrow that energy from, we are never completely feminine and we are never completely masculine energy. So if that is not available in the immediate environment, I'm borrowing it from my mother.
So it gets established. The inner masculine image of the father gets established to begin with. And then how does it change when a woman is growing up and she meets a lover?
It starts at puberty. It starts at puberty because puberty is when you are moving into your separate identity, peers, social identification. Till then, you're a child. So now, from a child, I'm becoming a woman. It's puberty. That's when my masculine wants to also express. In women, the art of seduction, wanting that, is also a masculine energy. Seduction is not it's not a feminine energy. It's an action energy. It's a masculine energy. Okay. So we have a lot to discuss about masculine and feminine, but it's an action energy. It's just masculine. So here at puberty, my masculine also wants to express the way I dress up, the way I sexuality, the way I express myself in the outside world is my masculinity. For women.
Okay. Then what happens when she meets a man that she's possessed in his image or falls in love, or I'm talking about here it's a very cis heterosexual kind of a reference without looking at the gender spectrum.
Let's if you don't even take the gender, let's stick to the energy because that makes sense. So even in a gay relation or lesbian, there will be a masculine energy and the feminine. Not because one lacks it, but in any dynamic of polarity, one aspect will take a step back. So in a relationship, in a gay relationship, one will be a masculine and one will be feminine.
So is it
So
like
the
one is an
femininity of
active partner and a passive partner, that kind of a dynamic?
yes. Yeah, so feminine and masculine. So the one who's a passive partner will, the masculine aspect of him in the relationship will take a step back. He will be a go-getter out in the world, but in the relationship dynamic, the polarity has to work. So here, one aspect of it takes a back step. It doesn't mean it disappears. It takes a back step. Okay, and that's where the chemistry, the dynamic happens.
Okay. So you said that, when I asked what happens when she gets possessed by the idea of another person that he or she
So
they fall in
initially,
love
let's
with.
say everybody, all of us have seen Karan Johar's movie and Suraj Bajrati and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I have this whole idea of love. A man doing all this, a man who loves me, who'll do anything for me. And now there's an invisible man around me. Okay, now so here all of us are carrying an outer image and an inner image. So the man that I attract outside is one who's willing to do everything for me. So he appears the perfect person. He's caring. And after a while, he becomes a little possessive. And then he becomes a little controlling. Right? So it starts gradually seeping, and by the time the reality seeps, since you recognize you don't want this because it goes back to the similar trapped energy. Okay. Now you are always having a reference point of not this. You don't say I want this. You always say not this. All of us, men, women, you say, Estani, I don't want him like my father. I don't want like my mother. I don't want like this. None of us have a clear picture of what we want. None of us. Whoever says, I want a dashing, smart looking man who has this manifestation of bullshit, they truly still don't know whether they really want to have it that way. Because they come from a set of fear.
Okay.
They're not wanting something is where they're coming from the wanting.
Okay. Yeah. So what happens then? Then there's disappointment, right?
Forget about disappointment. There is pain. There is frustration. There is isolation.
If the partner outside is not matching with the projected image of there's an inner masculine that's being projected upon a man.
So you have this magical love, no? It's a projection. So you have to be this Salman Khan, perfect, everything, cooking, looking good, and everything. And now you're a regular man who may cook well, but may not have good choice in taste. So you're not I can't handle the regular man. I'm in a delusion of the perfect man.
Is that why 50 Shades of Grey book and these kind of books are such a big hit? Because it's the delusion of that kind of a masculine billionaire boy, I said, interestingly, image.
See, what is selling today is the delusions. And that's why there are a lot of relationship problems. Because what I'm recognizing as a therapist and as a woman myself is I cannot handle a real man.
Wow.
Because a real man demands real resolutions to issues. So a real man will have sabzi लाएगा, रोज के बिल्स भरेगा, उसकी डिफिकल्टी होगी, शायद बनियान पहन के बियर पिएगा, कभी डकारे लेगा, है ना? एक रियल वुमन भी मैक्सी में घूमेगी, उसके बाल कलर्ड नहीं रहेंगे, कभी कभी सुबह भी आपको देख के आप खुद ही डर जाओगे. She may be having a stomach after hormones. She may get pimples. These are real people.
So you might say that the real man might not be the image of a perfect billionaire boy who's
like you have
always
these guys who
well-dressed.
have these cut shave and ears and they have six packs. But none of these men are sustainable. The ones who are sustainable have a pot belly. Sometimes they don't have a hair. They're the least good looking men, but very reliable. If you see the general pattern. Okay? And the women who are obsessed with such good-looking men are projecting that, oh, he's so good-looking and he has to be reliable. Now that
That's the
man is coming
projection.
with
Is
his,
that the projection? Because
yeah,
the inner
he
idealistic
has to be.
expectation.
Yes, he has to be. You're good. I love Salman Khan. It's a picture, okay. But now, if I don't know that it's a movie and he's a character out there, I have people who say, I want a husband like Salman Khan. Who would want a husband like Salman Khan who keeps moving from one person to the other, not even emotionally available? घर में सब्जी तो लाएगा नहीं. The idea of romancing it is where we are, which is good. But what Carl Jung is talking about in the Anima and Animus is the romance of the Animus is something very internal. When we try to get it external, the romancing is one stage of a relationship. With the Animus is the only stage. You don't build a family with the Animus. You don't have children with them. The romancing is the only stage you remain with the Animus.
So are you saying that the animus is the romantic idea of of what a man
if
should
you
be
remain
inside a
there?
woman's mind?
So what is, see, it's like, let's say if I'm a teenager, I'm the lovebird. So the romance is that stage. Now when I become 25, I'm looking at the realities of life of paying bills, getting money, and okay, and having a family. Now my inner universe has to grow. Now I'm not looking for sweet boys. I'm looking for men who are reliable. So when my inner animus is growing, my ability to look at my filter changes, my ability to look at a man externally also changes.
That's interesting that you said as the dynamic of the inner animus is maturing, a woman no more looks for a sweet boy, but she looks for what kind of a man?
A homemaker, a reliable homemaker.
So what's the difference between such a boy and such a man?
You tell me. You're a man.
Well, for me, if you would ask me, I would say that the difference is the idea of commitment. Like boys are afraid of commitment, men are willing to commit, if I can say that. And
willing to commit, matlab, I can hold a family. When I become a woman, that means when my when my inner man grows, I'm also willing to have a family and settle. The more I am willing to settle, I also want a man who's willing to settle. I'm not looking for just kiss, hug, and sex and romance and it's erotica.
So that's the Oedipal child, according to Carl Jung. That boy who can provide you the romance, the seduction, the fun is the Oedipal child. The development of the Oedipal child has to mature even more.
Yes.
To become the king archetype, as what Carl Jung would say.
Yeah. So when, let's say, these are all archetype growths, but these are parts of my projection of my masculine energy. I'm a woman.
Okay.
I'm not just a feminine energy. I have a masculine energy, right? So when I'm a therapist, I am more masculine. Now somebody says, oh, I'm man-like. No. Masculine is more structured, force, because I need to contain and hold a client in their emotion. There are times I have to be passive. There are times I have to be with force. But let's say if my inner animus is still the little boy, and there's nothing wrong to be a boy. It has to be all age appropriate. But at 50, if I have my inner animus like a boy, what happens is I am not willing to settle because I still want to have romance. I'm still in the game of seduction and the fun of life. And there's nothing right or wrong. The problem happens when there's an inner conflict. Your inner animus is here, but you as a person is looking for stability. A lot of women who will come and say, you know what, I'm looking for a stable man, and yet their first divorce, second divorce. And you see a repeated pattern of the kind of men they're looking at are emotionally unavailable. And they're doing everything in their capacity to make him available. Now, this is a very good example of an inner underdeveloped animus. Yeah, because she's not willing to grow up and see the world as it is. She's still magically thinking he will change, right? And she wants him to change. And but this, when she becomes the mature person, the anima grows into a man. It means this is okay, tells her that this man is not good enough for you.
So
Walk away.
the mature inner animus becomes the guiding voice and guides the woman. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because we all need a structure. Woman needs a structure. By nature, she's feminine, it's passive. She needs something which is forceful. For a man, by nature, he's forceful. He needs something which will make him passive, right?
That makes so much sense. Like for me, I was 2 years back, I was a totally different kind of a person. I was always more forceful, and then something happened, an inner breakdown kind of thing happened, and I started getting dreams of a feminine figure in all of my dreams every night. A feminine figure, as if I am walking up the hill, and there is one woman who's up the hill, who's looking very beautiful, and I feel uh, this inner seeking urge to go and get her. That started happening initially.
Interesting. You look at the metaphysics you're talking about. She's up there, you're down there, and it's like when we say kundalini, like up there. And then there's one energy of the yin is there and the yang comes. The yang is there and the yin comes. So it
And
moves
I
from
remember in the
the
dream,
serpent moves up.
I remember in the dream, I would struggle to climb this mountain, go and reach her, but I would fall down each time, and I would feel very frustrated and ashamed of being a man, because in my dream, I felt like I can't even reach that woman up there in that hill. And
because in this case, the anima is a reflection of the mother, and if our mothers had high expectations of us, in our dreams also we're always unsuccessful to please her. And if that is not separated, same like the animals, then we're stuck into pleasing women.
yeah, I did that a
This
lot. Okay, and
same
then
happens
what
with
happened?
men also.
And then what happened? I that's when these dreams started coming, is when I started reading Carl Jung. And then Carl Jung, I read that this is nothing but my internal anima, and I am so much 2 years ago, I was so much at a distance from my internal feminine aspect. Okay, and that's why the emotion of shame was associated there. Okay, because shame was associated with what society or patriarchal upbringing taught me, that a man who is in contact with his emotion is something to be ashamed of.
A lot of women are also shamed for being strong-headed, in opinion, because culturally, a man has to be strong, as even Carl Jung has given example. Man has to be weak. So, as from childhood, you train a daughter, a woman, that you have to be weaker unconsciously, play with toys, make this. It's not very consciously told. Your strength is of no use.
Hmm. And
Okay.
for a man, I would always feel this way, that I'm respected only for my achievements. I'm loved only for the external achievements. I
So
would feel very unloved.
you were asked to make your masculine and feminine, which is present even at that moment, to take a back seat because you are told it's of no value. Now you are two grown-ups who have been trained that I have to be weak and the man will do all. So I'm suppressing my strength. And the man says, I have to be strong, so he's suppressing his emotion. Now, the problem is when I am expressing my strength with my man, when I have an opinion, the man doesn't know what to do.
Because he's never developed that aspect of the inner
Because
feminine.
he said, because no, and the fact is, bloody, that was my job. Now, if you do my job, what am I supposed to do in this relationship? I can't be emotional. I have supposed to be the strong one. So damn shit, you behave the weak one, so I can do what I'm supposed to do.
So it's like I don't have the flexibility to to take the back seat. Like I can't let my wife or my girlfriend take the front seat. Like let her
Because
take the lead.
because I have told that it is your job. Now, let's say if I hire you to do a job and then I'm doing it. So why was I like lost? Like, why was I hired? And now she's getting the credit. So it harbors aggression and the conflicts in marriages where men say, my wife is always this way, controlling. But she basically probably must be having an opinion which he can't handle.
So that's the man's controlling anima being projected at the woman. And he's complaining.
I wouldn't say controlling. He's losing control. That, you're supposed to behave like a slave. Now you're behaving like a king. Shit. You imagine the whole play is changed, no? Like मेरे को script ये दिया था, इसके बाद मेरे को ये dialogue बोलना है. वो dialogue ही गायब हो गया. I don't know the next plot. I don't know how to deal with a woman who's strong. And it's not because it's a problem, but I just feel incapable to deal with that texture. Same happens with women. When a man is expressing his pain, weak emotion, women don't like it. Like he's all the time crying, he's always sad.
Yeah, they say he's very clingy. This man is very clingy. This man is too emotional.
She said, damn shit, how can you be sad? I am the one who's supposed to be sad. Asra, tu be sad, maybe sad to sana. Solution nikhalega kaun, because I am told not to use my strength. The moment, what Carl Jung says, if I see, I love my man for his weakness, and my man loves me for my strength, there is freedom of what is necessary to arise. If my man is passive in that moment for something happening, he's being so comfortable with his passiveness that he's not threatened by my assertiveness. And so is the same where me being passive, and I am not threatened by his passiveness because I trust my assertiveness. So when he's passive, I can be assertive. And when I am passive and I say I need a break, we take roles.
Yeah.
So this, when we understand it, in relationship dynamics, there's much more balance. But for that, I need to first understand that I have difficulty in accepting my strength. And strength doesn't have to be aggressive. Secondly, I'm comfortable in a man's weakness because I want a strong man. Then I want him to be okay with my strength. And there are too many strong people. But in nature, it will only cause destruction when there are too much of masculine. Or if there is too much of passivity, there's no movement. It's nature.
In fact, if you look at the collective, that's exactly what happened. If you see, there was too much of the masculinity coming up, and it ended in World War I, World War II, more of this toxic masculinity of aggression, control, territorial dominance, right? And if you look at what kind of men women were attracted to pre-World War time and post-World War time, there was a difference because the pop culture itself changed. Right after the World War, when people were fed up of the toxic masculinity as a collective, that's when pop culture emerged. The hippie movement started. People started, rebelling in a softer way. And in pop culture, the bands like the Beatles started becoming very popular. And here are men who are singing about their emotions. And the craze that came for the Beatles was so much that the idea of a new man changed. Now all the men were confused. We thought being war veterans was sexy for the women, but now here are boys and men who are singing about their emotions, and all the women were falling in love.
Now there was another problem. That then all became singers and they all became more into their feminine essence. Now we lack men.
Is that what the collective is feeling right now?
So what I'm trying is we are so uncomfortable with aggression and force, and yet want it. Because as a woman, the moment I am not in peace with my strength, my animus, which is my strength also. So when I look at my father or maybe the tyrant, I would label it tyrant because of my limited understanding in that moment. The problem was not who he was, the way he behaved. And the way he behaved is what I associated what the energy is. He had the force. He built a family, he built structure, and I am who I am because of what he did, right? So this man has the ability to hold. The Hanuman hai, parbat utha sakta hai. He is a metaphor of strength. But that metaphor of strength had a behavior that was unacceptable to me. I made the behavior as the inner picture of the animus and denied the complete aspect of strength. When we start doing therapy, we kind of separate this metaphor that we have given to seeing strength in wars. I'm not saying it's right and wrong. Where it's necessary, war is necessary. Life is all about force. It's like I'm pregnant, I'm feminine, but when I have to deliver, I need to have force. That's masculine. If I don't have the force at the right time, it could have a premature baby or a baby that could have dysfunctionality, could get stuck. So that is masculine and feminine. So what we are trying to do at a social label it, which a good man, now I'll become single. So the whole chaos of the uncollective is because the individual person is not looking at its own personal unconsciousness. It's getting so borrowed by the external picture. Now there are two women in the household. So women are working, men are cooking and cleaning, and there may be a very social aspect of pride in it, but ask those people, are they happy? Is there a satisfaction there? Some may have it, some may not have it. Because at the end of the day, I'm a woman. I want to be assertive, but that doesn't mean I don't enjoy being passive in some places. So when I only completely let my animus take over, I will let loose the joy of being a woman. So is the man who lets go of his manhood and only completely takes over the anima will be a reckless soul with nothing to hold on and stable. He's beauty, he's good looking, but he's just a muse. You only make temporary things with muse. So when you have a balance in the real world, then a family can happen. Two people who are in complete in charge of their assertiveness and their incompetencies. My unconsciousness is my shadow self could be my strength. But also, if I give too much weightage to it, it can push me down because it's unconscious. And my animus can ruin me. I'll become a tyrant. I'll be a man-eater. I will be at the top of various companies. I'll be a CEO. And that's going wrong in that. Okay, please don't get me wrong that all the women who are CEOs are incorrect. What I'm trying to say is what energy is coming in there. I'll show them kind of thing. Then I'm completely consumed by my inner animus.
Yeah.
My gentleness, my softness, it slowly starts going away. You'll also see a lot of physical changes, PCOD, fibroids, testosterone hormone. If it's longer, you will see those physical changes in the body. Right? It's not going to go far away. So when I'm doing therapies, I'm recognizing some patterns within where I sometimes tweak it at that level if possible, if the client is ready. There are a lot of women who are clinging and pleading, please come back to me, please love me, I'll be a good girl, I will do everything that you say.
And then there are also men who do that.
Yeah. And the thing wrong and right about this part, I'm not saying looking at a behavior, I say go a little one step behind the behavior. I say, from where are you coming? Is it only coming from love, where you really want to work this up? Or is it coming from the desperate desire and fear? Now, here, the animus is completely negated, and then this woman can become a tyrant. She lashes at me with the mouth, she's carrying the anger. So there's the complete opposite. Like if you see this woman's history also, the father is a very angry person, and then they don't want to be like the father. in the relationship. So they choose to be the mother, but they completely negate the masculine. But recognize now in such relationships, we need the masculine. Masculine is boundary.
So it's so important for women to integrate their inner masculine.
It is.
Just like
Carl Jung
how,
always says a complete human being is who has the man and woman in them.
and it's so important for men to
I am
integrate
I
the
am not
inner feminine.
I am not a man or woman. Biologically, yes, I have the organs of a woman. So yes, to the social concept, my gender is feminine. But emotionally and psychologically, I have to be feminine. These loose rumors that we are spreading, if you ask those people, what does it mean? They will not even know. Some cultures say, "Pallu dak lo to your feminine." So there is no energetic depth to it. It is the society trying to fit you in.
It's a construct.
So biologically, I'm a woman because I have a womb. I can conceive. That is my strength. And as a person capable of being both, when I need to do a training, a travel, I have the strength. And when I have to sit with my own sadness, I can go in one place and really nurture myself. So what Carl Jung says is the concept of Anima and Animus is very, very sacred and personal. It has nothing to do how the society constitutes it or wants to say it. And today there's a huge, uh, there's no boundary there. Because we, people are talking, you should be feminine, you're masculine. What does it mean? I read that somebody said, you're very masculine. I said, how much feminine you can want me to be? I've got breast and I've got a vagina. Like, what else is what for me? I'm biologically capable. I'm a mother. But me having an opinion threatens you, then that's different. So when I'm in my strength with my animus, balanced one, or what will I do? I'll lash at that woman. How dare you? You all are bitches. But this is the tyrant animus. The short one will say, oh, what makes you say that? And what about my questioning has made you feel? Are you threatened by something that I asked you? Because now I'm not a woman, or society says I can't. I'm a human being. We have to stop seeing people as genders unless it is necessary. I don't see you as a man. I see you as Sanjeev. Unless I'm dating you, and then the necessity of seeing you as a man arises.
Yep. And even for men, I guess, when we men start to connect with our softer sides, when we start connecting with our emotions, like that's what happened to me. The dream started changing when I started actively. I started art therapy. I started doing some painting and stuff. When I started doing this painting from that woman on top of the mountain, the dream started changing into.
So you being in touch with your softness doesn't mean you have to understand the problem.
Yeah.
You connecting with your softness is different. But you feeling safe in the presence of a woman's assertiveness is difficult for most men culturally.
Yep.
Okay. It's not about the emotion. They will empathize, but the problem is not with that. The problem is when the woman is in charge and the man should feel safe that she's my woman and I'm not a threat, and like my place is not shaken because now today she's taking the lead. For women, uh, men do not need a shoulder. So you stand by him and on for him. And that's big shit. We say, oh, I on for him. No, really, that is because you can. But when your husband is crying in pain or enjoying something, cherishing that, feeling safe in his weakness, we're taking pride in the others that, oh, I understand women's problem. How? I don't care if you understand, because you still can't. Not because you are incapable. It's just not possible. When I have my periods, how much it pains, even if you want to understand, it's not possible. I cannot understand what wet dreams are. Conceptually, tell me about it. I know it. But experientially, shit, I don't even know anything. You as a man can relate to it. Right? So this need to understand the other gender has to be dropped, but to feel safe in whatever they are is what is the need of the hour.
Absolutely, absolutely. And do you think that will happen if we integrate the inner animus or the inner anima within?
So if my man is safe with me having an opinion, asking what are we going to do with this, let's discuss it together. And if my partner, I'm safe that today my partner has lost his job and we can just sit and cry for a while and be more little human, the bond of love grows. Because we are not now seeing ourselves somebody who's capable of helping because they've gone down, or somebody who is accommodating because they've gone up. We're always and will remain equal. But today, I see you in your softer self. And I feel okay with it. Today, I don't have to be strong for that. We both can be soft. Okay, Sanjeev is sad today about something. So I say, oh, Sandeep, I'll take care of you. Don't worry. No, that is where most women jump into being a masculine. Unless it's asked for, don't do it. Maybe you just need some time. And when the woman is all there, go and men support that. We support women liberation. None of them know what it is. But I don't need your support. I need you as a man to feel safe in that. Because I feel, oh God, me being assertive, a lot of men are not going to like me. So most women don't want a relationship, and then they're like, oh, God. Now what if I have an opinion? This guy is saying, you can put attitude on it.
Okay. So
So
it's
I'm
about,
scared I'll lose a future or lose a dream of having a family just because I'm having an opinion. A man will lose a desire of starting a family because he's expressing his emotion. The whole word is safety. Do I feel safe to show who I am? My unconscious self, does it feel safe to emerge here, not to be judged or overcompensated?
so it's about me as a man being able to feel safe when my woman takes a lead, when my partner takes the lead, when she is able to step up and fight for her rights, or whatever taking the lead or expressing herself or being assertive means to her, and me being okay with it, me being safe in that space, and also the woman being safe in the man's expression of emotion when the man is in his softer side, in his vulnerable side, and the woman being
I
okay
don't
with
need
that.
to I don't like to mollycoddle you and say, oh my, because then I'll be the mother energy. And that's another dynamic that will create the archetype of the mother and the archetype of the. No, I still remain the woman and say, you know what, oh, Sanjeev had a meltdown today. And hi, Sanjeev, would you like, what do you want? You want me to stay with you here or you want some time of your own? I respect you as an equal and say, you know what, Bhavata, you
So
just stay.
you're not feeling obligated to take care
I
of
don't
your
have to
man.
then suddenly become the warrior.
So neither are
I
you shifting into becoming his mom, nor are you shifting into becoming a warrior, but you're being an allowance of
as
who.
another human being, I see you as another human being, the most vulnerable state. Who will I will ask if you want me to. If you don't want me, I just need my time. So okay, let me know what can I do here. With due respect, whether you need that kind of help or not. That's when I treat you equal. But if I'm like, okay, I let me do it. You don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'm making the man feel more lesser.
Yep.
He feels emasculated, incapable. So these are very subtler things when you start observing and you start reading. It's when you recognize, oh, there's so much that is happening behind the stage of who you are. And if you can pick that up, even if you can't, if you get to go to a therapist who can really help you see the threads that you have been woven with, and remove the ones that are really not looking good in the pattern, reweave them. I think we all are a beautiful fabric.
Beautiful. I think on that note, we will summarize quickly about this discussion of getting in touch with the inner masculine and the inner feminine, right? That was what this whole discussion was about. So before we close, do you have like any tips of say how do I connect with my inner animus, or how do I connect with my inner anima? So do you have any tips for that? You yourself have been doing some kind of a meditation
So
kind of a
first,
thing.
but I started with the outside projection of it because I really don't know what it is. So I started with seeing the men around me, the kind of men I was with, not in dating alone itself, but working colleagues, the kind of men who I had around me. Give me an understanding of the kind of inner picture I have. And most of the men that I was around initially were not standing up for them. So that is to frustrate me. I used to get more angry, and then my animus used to like kind of think, probably that could be intimidating. So first observe, where is your inner animus?
Okay, the first step is to observe the pattern of the inner animus showing up for women. And I would
What
say
texture?
and I would say that I started observing what kind of women I get attracted to. That started changing. In the initial phases, I was getting attracted to certain kinds of women, and certain kinds of women would show up around me. And not only women in embodiment, sometimes women in dreams, and sometimes women in the designs and the images and the art
It's
that
all
that would be
about
all
all
around me.
around you.
So,
But understand, this is not about then trying to manifest the right person, okay, right partner. Okay, this is
it's
just to get a
just a
picture, like a
reflection.
reflection.
So I
Reflection. So
knew.
I may have a work
Yeah.
colleague who's a masculine energy, and I see him that जब भी decision लेने की बात होती है वो नहीं ले पाता है. Then I have a partner who's not taking it. Then I have a friend's husband who's not taking it. And that's perfect. But in my visibility, I see a lot of masculinity not doing that. That gives an inner picture. Or I see aggression. Or I see people just, now there's a new thing about ghosting and all that stuff. So you have a lot of masculines who just disappear. When the time comes to express their masculinity, they disappear. The ghosting or whatever. Now you have an inner, so you get a picture that there's an imbalance.
Okay.
The kind of men
Then
I'm getting are choosing to disappear. The second step here is to see where, who has influenced that.
Okay, so it's like going within, doing an internal introspection as to
If you are,
what does this reflect inside of me.
So who in your life are men that you found they were indecisive, tyrants, people who just disappeared when you needed them? So
Very.
ghosting is like some. So they are men.
Yeah.
Who, and it could not be alone men, it could be some very strong women also.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
very interestingly that you mentioned ghosting and leaving. I was complaining to my therapist saying that, this girl who was like my sister, she left me. This other girl who's also like my sister, she left me. We were best friends. My girl best friends are leaving. And then my therapist pointed out, why do you keep saying this girl who's like my sister? What does that mean to you? Then it just clicked, when my sister left to her hostel, I was still in class 8, and my sister and I shared a beautiful bond. And when she left to the hostel, it was the most painful separation of a sister that I had not processed it. I didn't even cry. I didn't even grieve. I didn't even tell my sister, I'll miss you. I just said bye bye and
There was no
internalized the
completion
pain.
of the whole story, of a closure, even if it was painful. It ended in you telling her, I miss you. All not happy ending. Also, she at that moment was probably an influence on your inner feminine. Could be. I don't know much if unless I know the case. So here, once you identify that, the influence of it, you kind of start separating it.
Yep. So the first step, I started noticing some girl best friends leaving me and causing me pain. It was happening in a pattern. And then I started looking at where is it coming from. My therapist helped me identify that this is a recollection of me bidding farewell to my sister, and to my subconscious it was my sister leaving me forever. My subconscious didn't have a concept of, oh, she's going to come back to me, she's going to come back. That concept was not there. Leaving means leaving forever, and that pain was being recreated.
So you were like this, so you remained there with she leaving you, okay, and you were stuck in that time. So you remained the boy and the leaving part. So even when today, if you had a relationship with friends, you still are the boy. So you see, when you identify this, which is so thanks for sharing that, you first start separating who you are and who you are not. So a lot of people find, oh, we need to go for therapy. Not necessary unless it's very traumatic. You need a therapist to help you kind of separate that. But in general, sometimes in realization itself, we know, oh, that's how they did it, and I kind of picked it up. I separated. Now, when you've separated, that doesn't mean जो बचा कुछ है हमारा है. अब क्या बचा कुछ है पता ही नहीं ना. So now I'm looking at something, but I have no clue what that something is because there's no reference, there's no label to it.
Yep. And then for me, the third step was to reparent myself or recreate my bond with the anima. So I started going to this temple where this mother figure, divine, I started almost adopting a divine mother figure to fulfill my maternal void, which my biological mother could not fulfill. So I was connecting to the divine archetype and getting my fulfillment from there. So that's how I healed the mother wound.
So you heal the boy. You heal the mother wound. So this boy grew up to be a man. We don't grow up till that emotional need is not fulfilled. Now you mostly have grown up to be a teenager. Okay, now from a mother you need a girl.
Yep.
Now you are ready for a girlfriend, not a woman yet. Huh? So this is the game of seduction where it starts. You have to recognize this.
Yeah, that happened for a while. That happened for a while.
So
because I was attracted.
It happens. All of us, when you recognize it, it's easier for us to know when to stop it also. But when we don't recognize this game of seduction or the game of being the good boy, can be quite fulfilling from the society perspective.
Yeah,
it was. Boy, acha bacha hai.
For a long time, I did that. For a long time,
yeah,
all the relationships were more on the lines of more fun and less commitment. That was the dynamic. But then slowly, I started coming back home. I finished college, coming back home and connecting with my father. My father taught me driving. My father taught me other things.
So at
like
15 and 16, you move into the, as even Bertrand, like I would say, now with Carl Jung, is moving into the shadow of the same sex. Because your invisible unconscious or will start overpowering you if you do not connect with the real aspect. When I go to my mother, I look at the reality of being a woman. Like this, it's cooking, it's clean, even if I don't like it. That's what it is. If I don't, I remain that little girl who's still the Madhuri Dixit and Salman Khan fan picture. I never grow out of it. And when I get married, life has to move on. I still want at 50 also the Salman Khan kind of. I have not grown. And that is where the suffering and pain is, that I'm not in touch with reality. So you go to your father figure, you go to your mother. Then you come down to the
reality,
real world also. Doesn't mean you leave that, but you come to it also. That's when the balance will start or the imbalance will remain. So if I have an Animus who became a tyrant at 19 because I rebelled as a child, my father didn't let me do it. Now I'll do everything that he told not to. I flipped the gun. Okay. Now I become tired. But if I don't move into my mother's state, where I also take the femininity from her.
So is that the third step? Is that the third step is to integrate?
Identify where you are in your growth first. Like you identified and you moved. When you identify that, then you know what you have to learn as a skill set there. What is your invisible unconsciousness needs to learn.
So the first step is you observe the men around you for a woman. And the second step would be to identify what they are reflecting from within. The third step might be to go inside and heal the wound, heal the mother wound or heal the father wound, right?
Father wound, the men in your life, or whatever you, it's all borrowed story. Jitna hai, ho sakta hai,
When
nikhalo.
you start, Carl Jung would say, keep a dream journal, keep writing
You
down
will
your
see
dreams.
dreams, you will see a lot of metaphors. You write them down because now you're going to resculpt it. पुराना तो अब निकाल दिया पर हमारे पास अभी सिर्फ clay है. Really don't know how this clay can be tyrant also, because that's the only thing I know. Unless I remodel it.
Yeah, and the women that appear in my dreams now are completely changed. Like today, the kind of a feminine figure that comes in my dream is angelic, is like Mother Mary, is like one divine presence of wisdom. And it started out as a punishing figure to, after a lot of meditation, a lot of healing the mother wound and connecting with my own sister, after reconciling those things and after grieving the loss of so many friendships and actually crying, after doing all of that, the woman who's appearing in my dream is so much more like this fairy godmother kind of an image. That's the new trend right now. It keeps changing, of course.
So when it will change. So now what happens is the gentler, softer you, the invisible you is wiser. The same way with the Animus. When I recognize I've healed it, I see a wise, quieter, patient Animus.
So that's your dream, is it? That those are the kind of men appearing in your dreams?
Very stable, very rock solid. Like I feel that solidity even when I speak right now. There's something very solid there. I know what I'm speaking, and I truly believe in what I'm doing. So I can carry the weight of my belief on me. So as a woman, I don't carry the weight of a family, but the inner animus can carry me, my idea, my thoughts in the world.
And I would say my inner anima is beautifully healing me from within, is giving me this kind of a very cool and very calm
space, giving you the space of as Anima is said, has to
empathy.
be
I would say my
energy.
empathy has grown. Yeah, soul energy.
Yes. Animus is your inner spirit. Anima is in the man, it's soul. She inspires him to a place he's never been before. It's like the mother will take you to places that are safe. Your bloody wife, girlfriend, whoever, it will take you to a place which you've never been. She will put you to a milestone which is never ever you have seen. Because the purpose of a mother is to keep you safe. The purpose of a woman is to drag you out towards where you need to be.
Wow.
You recognize that.
That's so true. And if you watch this movie Bahubali, I love that movie.
It is in Bahubali. It is in
there's this feminine presence above the hill, and this guy climbs the mountain and goes up to see his woman of his dreams, right?
If you see Lord of the Ring also, a lot of other moments where you see, but you have to recognize this first split within you. When the mother finishes the role, you have to let your woman guide you. Most men find it very difficult to do that. They feel that the woman is taking them to a place away from the mother. But when you're in touch with your inner feminine, you will recognize this woman is taking to you closer to your soul.
Super.
So when you see them separately, socially, if you go to say, people will say, what a controversial thing to say. Oh, mothers love their children. I said, yes, I'm a mother myself. I cannot, if my whole job is to keep my child safe, that means I will say, don't do that. Super. But her partner will say, you know what, let's do something new, adventurous, and she will tap into something different. So we need to know that they're separate. It's an inner journey.
So that's been a beautiful discussion so far, and we've reached this wonderful conclusion of how to reconnect with the inner.
Oh, I would love to
masculine
also
feminine.
hear from a lot of people who probably is practicing this with whatever we said. If they can journal it, and if a few of them can share it with you or on this,
Yeah,
it
definitely.
will help us to a little go, verify these details and go a little more further in this.
Yeah, we would love to know from all the viewers. We would love to know your journey, your dreams. What's the kind of men you see in your dream? What's the kind of women you see in your dreams? What's your dynamic with the lovers in your life? What kind of struggles you have with the same gender or the other gender, and stuff like that, right? Please put them in the comment section below, since we are uploading this on YouTube. So thank you so much, Namita, for this beautiful, wonderful discussion. It's been a pleasure.
I hope it's been helpful, because these are all just my personal insights and my personal experience. So
it was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.